co-creation is about people. It's about involving and embedding a people first attitude, behavior, mindset in your business. Co-creation is about involving your ideal clients in creating your services and products.
Welcome back to the Master Your Business podcast, the show that helps you make your first 100K or your first 1 million in your business. I'm your host, Deirdre Martin, and today we're diving into the deep world of client co-creation with the incredible Marivanna Chessa. Marivanna is an expert in helping entrepreneurs stop with the hustle and create businesses that fuels their soul. She's got over 20 years of experience as a change maker, and she's passionate about helping people build businesses that are both profitable and, most importantly, fulfilling. And in this episode, Marivanna is going to share her secrets for uncovering the true meaning of co-creation. And I'm telling you, folks, it's way more than just asking people for feedback. She's also going to share her secrets for discovering why co-creation is a secret weapon for explosive business growth, mastering a step-by-step system for co-creation with clients. And again, like in the show, we always ask our guests to bring no fluff and just actionable strategies. And I can tell you, Marivanna delivers. Effortlessly attracting your dream clients with co-creation, understanding the surprising link between co-creation, energy management, and ditching burnout, and implementing simple hacks for building habits that last. Because if you're listening to this episode, it's coming out on the 7th of January, and we all know what happens to New Year's resolutions. They rarely last. So folks, grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and let's dive in. Marivanna, I am so thrilled to welcome you to the Master Your Business podcast. Welcome.
Great to be here.
Literally recording this. It's the last week in December, more or less, and this episode is going to air just in a couple of weeks. And it's really great timing, I think, for what we're going to talk about today, because we're going to talk about co-creation in your business, what that is, why it's important, and all of those things, and also your energy in doing so. So, Marivanna, I'm going to say to you, in terms of co-creation, let's first start off with what that is.
Right. Well, first of all, it's fantastic to be here. So thank you for the invite. And yes, so that's the best moment to talk about co-creation, because co-creation is about people. It's about involving and embedding a people first attitude, behavior, mindset in your business. And there are two kind of audiences that you serve in your business. Your external clients, of course, but the first client we all have in our businesses is ourselves. So let's start from the external perspective. Co-creation is about involving your ideal clients in creating your services and products. And why is that important? Well, we all know from the stats that 20% of the new businesses fail within the first year, 34% within the second year, and 50% within the third year. And actually, tell me.
I posted about this on LinkedIn today, and in Ireland alone, and the bulk of my listeners are in Ireland, mostly Ireland, the UK, and the US. We've got some in like 50 other countries nearly, but the bulk are in this geography. And so for Irish listeners, that figure, when you boil it down in Ireland, the statistics are showing for 2024, over 900 businesses have closed in 2024. And I think that that's not a true reflection, because a lot of business owners like you and I, Marivanna, we're small business owners. We've operated as solopreneurs. We have freelance contractors who come and do a little bit of work with us. And I think that maybe those types of businesses are not included in that 900. So I think if you were to look at countries with bigger populations, like the UK or the US, that number must be 10x or 100x bigger, right? So that's just to break it down in terms of a tangible number in Ireland. And like I say, I don't think that's the true picture, because I don't think it reflects every type of business out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about, again, it's always being realistic with your data and see how do they apply. And what is interesting in these stats is actually the reason why this happened. And if you ever look at the reason, one of the top one is a lack of market fit, service fit. What is that? When we create a service or a product, ideally, we will need to serve a specific need in a specific market or a specific person. Now, as I do with quite a lot of my clients, I bring them on the drawing board, we put together some ideas, and then I help my client to go and test those ideas. When you don't do the testing, when you don't go out and ask actually your ideal client, is this something that really helps you? How does my service really help you? If you don't do that, which is really validating your proposition, is when you're lacking the data. So I've worked for about 20 years in corporate sector before setting up my business. And it's quite interesting, multi-million pound businesses and small businesses, they all have the same challenge, which is, how can I bring the data at stage really zero of my business journey? How can I make sure that something that I do is really relevant and it's really solve a specific need in the market? And that's why co-creation is important, particularly for small business owners, particularly for those small businesses who can have a direct relationship with their clients. And they thrive in building this relationship. Involve them, do a brainstorm together, share the idea with a group of 6 ideal clients that maybe you know through LinkedIn, through personal networks. Invite them and share how does this help you, and invite them in the journey. By doing that, you are, number one, you're really validating your service and product idea. Great. Number 2, you might invite them along the process and say, this is stage 1. How about we craft together stage 2? And you're building your customer while you're building the services for them. So it's you embed at the core of your business, relationship building as a key strategy, which, is going to save so much of our time in terms of what we call it business development and so on. But most importantly, you're building an evidence-led offer, and you're giving the chance of your business to thrive and not to be one of those 2 businesses who fail within the first 3 years.
That, and I really agree with you. I actually created this podcast episode out on the 31st of December, so it hasn't been released at the time of recording this yet, but it's about creating low ticket offers. And this was something that I did earlier in the year, which was earlier in 2024, I created a low ticket offer and I built it with clients as I went. Now, I knew what the core structure topics were going to be, but it was based on the feedback that was coming from the individuals so that I could do that. And I'd never done something like that before. But so just to come back a step and ask a question, because this will be my approach and I'd love to hear what yours is that before I built anything, what I did was I offered it to people to see if they would pay for it and come along that beta launch journey with me. So what you were talking about, Marivanna, are you asking people to put their hands in their pockets while you're going through this co-creation process?
Well, actually, what I'm talking is one step before that. Is actually where it's still an idea. So it could be that you put together a PowerPoint or a keynote presentation, or it could be even a sketch with a brainstorming with ideas. Very, very lean, very, very easy. Invest as less as possible to define and really define, as you have mentioned, the framework. And then at that stage, before thinking you be paid, double check that that's a need. Double check that it's a specific need and how you've been able, what I call it, to build the bridge between the hell, which is the problem of your client, and the heaven, which is the ideal outcome. How can you build the bridge before asking for the investment? And then you refine that. And then at the end, you can say, and what will be the value for you? How much you've been willing to invest? But the investment come at the end. It's just when the potential client is okay and said, yes, this would definitely something I will be happy to buy. Because at that point, there's not really a conversation about price. is a conversation moved from price to value, which is a much better conversation to have with your ideal client.
I love that. And so, in terms of pricing something like that, because I know people are listening and they're like, oh, that's great. And, I'm taking up clients' time and it's taking up my time too. And they're bootstrapped probably as it is, to be fair. And I'm sure there's a better return on investment when you build and co-create something with the client at the outset. But what I'm curious to learn is where would you take that then in terms of pricing with value over price?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I would plan my time very carefully in terms of price. So you will need very clear in terms of your planning how many hours you're going to allocate to that, because any time that you're going to allocate is a cost for your business. So you will say, okay, it will be between 3 and 5 hours. And you will cost that as part of your planning. Then this is really your instead of thinking about the marketing costs, you do the relationship building cost and investment for the long term. And then in terms of actually the price, well, you will have more or less an idea. And actually at the end of the conversation, there will be the specific conversation. Consider that we have proved that this is valuable for you. Hopefully you've been able to build something that serves the specific problem for a specific person or specific market. Once you've been able to do that, there will be how much you'll be able to invest in this. So again, it's about investing in solving the problem more than actually the cost of it, and shifting your client perspective from investing to solving a problem is part of building the bridge solution with them.
Right. And I'd love to know, when clients come in that co-creation process, like for you, what's been your experience with your clients, or when you help clients figure this out? What percentage of people who come through that co-creation process go on to become clients?
It's very high. For me, it's been 80%. It's how I've built my group program. I've had clients participating in building my group program 2 years ago. They've become a client, and then now they're renewing for the second year or third year. So again, it's because you're building a relationship with them. It's the old perspective of people first that I have in all my approach to businesses growth. Once you serve a specific need for a person, you're able to build their relationship. You do the marketing's part of it, because you're talking with them. You're helping them solving concrete problem. You might be a coach, maybe a consultant. And once you're helping them, you're building a solution together, and they're bought in. So they're like, yeah, build this with you. Yeah, I want to be part of it now. So it's quite high, and it's about the connection that you establish, the real connection with real people. And in the same methodology that my client use, I'm a business innovation mentor. My client used this methodology in the business development, and so far, keep fingers crossed, it's been quite good for them as well.
Oh, man. Okay, so let's go back a couple of steps. So talk us through what this process looks like step by step. Let's dive under the hood a little bit more.
Yeah. The first step is it depends really if you're creating a new offer from scratch. Let's imagine that you're creating a new offer from scratch. Let's imagine that you're year 2 of your business, okay? And you already run one year of your business, you're kind of cleaning up your offer, figuring out what to do next. The first step will be a nice research. I know that you've done a podcast about research, quantitative and qualitative data, but to run a quantitative analysis of the experience of your previous clients, that's the first step. You take those data and you see what has been the experience of your client up until now, and what is missing. Consider where they are in the journey. Okay, really important, what is missing. Then from what is missing, you start, based on the experience of what they say to you, putting together an initial proposition, an initial idea, which needs to be very specific to what they said that is missing. Once you have this initial idea, which needs to be very clear in terms of the problem that you're solving, how you're solving them, Are you helping them building the bridge between the have and the problem, and between the hell, the problem, and the heaven where they want to be? Then you actually invite them to a qualitative piece of research, which is literally a conversation where you share what could be the potential new offer to help them moving forward. And that conversation needs to be quite structured in terms of double checking what are the pain points, double checking is this that you want, and let me just share with you the solution, and then what will be the value of the solution. So it's about gathering quantitative data, analyzing those data, going to the co-creation with a specific proposition, and then you run the qualitative piece around it. And that's the point where you involve, you can do that online, in person, it really depends.
And so when you do the qualitative part, do you do that one-on-one, Marivanna, or do you do that in a group session?
I usually do one-to-one for the type of services that I do, but that depends very much on your business. So I usually have my clients, that the type of client they want to have the exclusivity. So I do the one-to-one, but that could be also a small group. Depends again on your client's profile. It could be a small group of 3-5 people together online, or ideally in a room. It depends really again on your business model. Both I think are valuable. It depends again on the type of business that you have and the type of clients that you have. It's always about them. It's definitely not about us.
And so the quantitative questions and the qualitative questions that you include in this co-creation process, can you drill down into those a little bit more so that people really understand what that means? Because if they haven't been listening to the podcast, this Master Your Business podcast from episode 1, they may have missed what that means. And so I just want to be sure that we cover it so everybody is on the same page as we are here right now.
Right, okay. So the quantitative data are the data that you can gather through a questionnaire. And they are data, first of all, you want to understand, if you're talking about existing clients, okay, you're talking about an existing client base, even if client have been services even for a couple of months, but they're existing clients. It's about understanding where they were when they started with you. So literally, where were you before working together, okay? And then what has been the growth, the improvement, the transformation of working together? So where are you now? What have been the key changes in your business or in your life? It depends on type of services that you have. And then you want to understand what is next for you. So it could be a question, a very simple question like, imagine yourself in 12 months' time, that you had the most amazing 12 months of your life. Where would your business be? And really start moving them to that vision. And then what would you need to get there? So start drilling down in what do they need. So these are kind of initial data to understand the journey they've done and where they want to go. Something that definitely will be useful at that stage is to gather quantitative data about the behavioral style, like what criteria is most important with you when choosing a service. So that could be value, price, relationship with a client service provider. You want to understand what really motivates them, the decision-making criteria. And then you can drill down more in the behavioral data. So if you are an online business owner, it's quite important to understand the online behavior. So which social media platform do you use? How often? For how long? They have very specific data that help you to put together the ideal client profile for yourself. So you have experience about, a little bit about experience, behavioral data about the online behavior, decision-making criteria, and then you start kind of opening up on what's missing. You start using these data. This is an initial part of the data process. So pulling all those together, then you use them to create your persona profile, understand what's missing. And then the qualitative data are the rich data that you can just get in a conversation. You literally to coach your client. So it's about going deep. It's about understanding the motivation. It's about understanding what's really missing in their business. You cannot get this type of data in a questionnaire. The questionnaire is just an intro, it's just initial insights, and they give you the idea. Once you have your initial idea, your MVP, as we call it, minimal viable product or minimal viable service, it's really initial. Then you invite your ideal client profile to a conversation and you play back what they said in the quantitative, literally. That's why some coaching skills are very useful. You play back what they said in the quant and you dig a little bit more deeply. So you said this was important for you. Can you tell me more about that? You said in your business, a big challenge now is your messaging. Right. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? So you want to understand really what is the problem and what is the attitude to the problem. Are they problem solver? Are they action taker? Do they want to have the type of help that is more about how to do things? Or actually they take action and for them it's more important to have the support. So when you're crafting your proposition, how much is the how to and how much is the support around in terms of your client offer? And that helps you a lot to nail down really the help that they need. And then you share where you are, and then you start to embed little by little they sharing in the actual post the research. You might invite them to another session and say, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to consider what you have said to me, that messaging is a key problem for you. And actually, you're not really an action taker because, yeah, action is hard. And you like to have some support. Well, of crafting the new service offer, whatever, messaging accelerator, and thus we put together a strategy 1 month and you also have the one-to-one support. How valuable would that be for you? Again, you play back, you bring back the evidence always, and then you help them understand the value of what you're offering as well yourself. Kind of nailing down what your service offering.
That's great, because it means, doesn't it, that your offer is ready to go. It's ready. You're ready to go ahead with it. It's been co-created by clients. And I suppose the next step then from there, like what's coming to my mind is that, is it just for offers, or how else could you take that co-creation process and apply it in as a coach or a consultant or a service-based business owner?
Yeah, there are two ways to see these. There are two ways to see research as part of your business. You can use it tactically, which is to do something specific, or, as I always advise my client, whether they work, I use it strategically. That's the way how your business operates. So once you have done this process, you have created potential client. So potentially, if you've done this well, you don't need to go out cold. You already have a warm potential audience there who can be the first to have the opportunity to experience your offer. And they can be your social proof for that service that you're creating. And then you can build on that. If you embed this strategically in your business, that means that every time that you have a new idea of doing something new, you're building your brand champions. You're building a small group of ideal clients who become your brand champions. They are there to support you in crafting your offers, and they could be 5, 10 clients that they're working with you on a regular basis to invite them for something new that you are creating, and of course you give something back. Yeah, so you give something back, which could be your time, could be you kind of you figure that out. It's really, they become partner of your business, and they might have a special offer just for them. Having a small group of brand champion within your business, it saves so much of your acquisition cost. As we know, acquisition is one of the higher costs in any business. It's not just the money that you spend on marketing, it's your time. So if you invest your time in creating client from stage 0 instead of stage 10 with your new offer, you have the system of always having a warm audience. And it feels, particularly for coaches and consultants who are very much impact-led, and I know that your audience is, meaningful work is what helps you to do more because you love it. And so you create those relationships straight ahead from stage zero. And that is, if we embed co-creation strategically as part of how the business operates, it's life-changing for you, for your client, and for your business.
That's so powerful, Marivanna. And I think what's really key to this for me, or what I'm sensing from this, is it really is taking a new approach to a whole customer journey, because the customer may not recognize at the start that they have a need or desire. And usually what's really interesting about your approach with this co-creation piece is that you're helping them identify that need or desire early on. So very often in a customer journey, there are phases that people go through. Need or desire is the first one, and then they move on to inquiry. So when they recognize, when they have that, aha, I need this, or I really want that, that's usually when they go and look for a solution. But what you're doing here is you're very smartly, may I add, you're bringing them into that early stage process to help them identify the need or desire. Have I got that right?
Completely. And you help them develop the awareness of it. But sometimes, we are, on social media, on LinkedIn, we see a post, but we forget about that, because the way that, our life kind of works nowadays, the span of our attention is less than 7 seconds. So we have so many stimuli around us. Well, actually, if you start building a relationship with your client, ideal client, not anyone, ideal client from stage zero, you keep yourself in their mind, because they start developing something which is fundamental for relationship building. They start creating oxytocin, which is the good hormone that helps our mind connect with someone. So it's not just the service. The best client, those who stay with you and over a longer period of time, you start reducing your acquisition costs as well. You start building your retention as part of the business model that you're creating in your business. And that it's a game changer. You make less effort to really, most of all, when you offer it, then when you kind of, that works, you can go out and spread the word, but you minimize the risk. This is really important in business. Minimize risk and minimize the waste of resources, which is your time, first of all. We all spend lots of time in, marketing ourselves, going out, communicating. How about building meaningful relationship for stage zero and maximize the value that you can create with your client, because they are there in the room. They can tell you what they need.
I love this. I really love this. And because usually if I do customer journey workshops with companies or their teams, or even with an individual, if they have other people on the team, I'm always like, it'd be great if they could come as well, because then we co-create what that journey is going to look like. And if you could get a client to sit in with you, even better. But what I love about this, Marivanna, again, not just from the helping the client identify the need or desire, but also their commitment to executing the framework and strategy all the way through. Because we all think our own ideas are fucking amazing, right? So if we think our ideas are amazing, if your client has helped you come up with the idea of what your offer is, they're going to think it's a fucking amazing idea and want to execute it and get your help in doing so, right? And I think the other thing I've experienced, and some of my clients have as well, because if people are pivoting and they're looking at a different audience, I always recommend step one is qualitative conversations with prospective clients. That's always step one. And what's interesting about that is that even when you just ask those questions, and they are coaching questions, you're trying to get to the root of the problem, just like what you do in the co-creation process. But what's so interesting about that is I've literally had somebody turn around and say to me, oh my gosh, Deirdre, you're so knowledgeable about this. And I didn't do any of the talking. I just asked a few questions, right? But it was because it helped them have that awareness about what a problem was that they didn't recognize, and their cost and impact of that problem. And that actually it was costing them more than the problem itself. they were like, "Oh, okay, this is actually something that I need some help with," and I have acquired clients that way. But I love what your approach is in that sense, and I think, let's say, from an energy perspective, because I really want to talk about this with you, because I know you're a powerhouse in this topic too, Marivanna. And that is, from an energy perspective, as solo business owners or small business owners, it's really important that we mind our energy in doing anything to do with business. So can you speak to that for a little bit?
Yeah. Well, we are solopreneur. Maybe we have a small team and everything depends on us. We are director of marketing, director of product, director of finance. It's like, oh my God, lost family, maybe children, or maybe an elder mom like me. Right. Well, energy. First of all, let's clarify what energy is. Energy is the capacity to do work. Full stop. Energy has got 4 different systems that we all need to operate, and they need to be aligned to develop high performance. We need physical energy, which is our resistance. It's the quantity of the energy that we need to achieve whatever we want to achieve. Then we have the emotional energy, it's the quality of the energy, the good emotion, those positive emotion that we need when we feel grateful and when we feel fulfilled, they really lead us through the day. Then we need the mental energy, which is the focus, our alertness. And then last but not least, we need the spiritual energy. And the spiritual energy is our ability to align ourselves, life and business meaningfully. It's doing something that we believe in. And that is the force of the energy. So why this co-creation methodology works? It works particularly for impact-led, people-first business owner. For those who are there because they really want to make a better world. And when you're involved and engaged directly with your clients, your mind produces fantastic hormones. We produce oxytocin, which is a hormone of relationship and love. And we feel this is great. We align with the fact, yes, I want to do good in the world. And so you're able to have this force that you feel inside you to really create great work. And what is really important as business owner is in doing this work is rest, sleep, hydration. It's so interesting. I'm a business mentor and leadership coach, and my client, they always come to me, oh, we need to develop a business strategy. I'm like, okay, should I just ask you a couple of questions before we start? We were like, yeah, okay. How many hours did you sleep last night? You're like, what? Yeah. How many hours did you sleep? I was like, aren't we supposed to talk about business? Yeah, this is business. You can have all the most amazing business strategy. If you don't take care of the foundation of you are the most important resource in your business, your sleep, your food, your nutrition, you're not able to perform. High performance comes from your ability to have between 6 and 8 hours of sleep a night. Come from the fact that you drink at least 2 liters of water a day. Come from the fact that you treat yourself as a human being and not as a machine. So during the day, breaks. Create your Christmas sunrise. You need energy. This is what I see. I work along habits. And quite simple, your muscle expand or contract depending on your ability to renew your energy. Athletes, they have an intense period and they stop. Why we cannot do as a business owner? Right, don't we? That is fundamental.
It's so powerful that we're talking about this at this time of year, both of these topics, in fact, and they're intertwined, folks. And so to have the energy to take people on a journey with you, first off, you need to have a process and a plan to do that. But secondly, you need to have all of those 4 things. So physical, spiritual, emotional. What was the 4th one, Marivanna? Mental, your focus. So you need to have all of those 4 things aligned so that you can do the things in business. And so I think the other reason for me why I'm so glad that we're speaking about this topic at this point in time in the show as well is because I fundamentally believe with my heart and soul that one of the big marketing trends for 2025 is not just a marketing trend. It's actually it's more of a movement from customers and clients, is very much around that people centricity. It's about that relationship and connection, because people crave connection. And that's where, if you can really leverage that connection piece and push forward with that, but in the right way, where you're managing your energy, then a lot of people who struggled in 2024, using that as one of their key strategies for 2025, will be more likely to succeed.
Absolutely. You absolutely nailed it. It's very much putting the people at the core of your business, starting from ourselves. Starting from ourselves. We are the first customer of our business. And most of all, when we run, as we do, small businesses and everything is on us, our ability to expand the capacity to do great work can be achieved. It's just about building those good habits consistently, small, taking very tiny steps, but consistently. Never give up. Getting some support.
I know, and there's probably a lot of people listening. It's the 7th of January and this episode is coming out, and to be fair, maybe there's a lot of New Year's resolutions, and New Year's resolutions come from habits, right? So as both of us, we talked about this before in the mastermind group that we were in, and we were talking about BJ Fogg's book, Tiny Habits. And both of us are familiar with this concept, right? And Atomic Habits from James Clear. I mean, seriously, we're like nearly carbon copies of one another. Our principles, beliefs, and values so closely align. It's actually hilarious, folks. But I'd love to hear what your suggestions would be for people who are on maybe day 7 or day 8, day 9, depending on whenever they're listening to this episode. What suggestions you have for them to really form habits that stick, that are doable, that are not unrealistic, that they can sustain to maintain that energy?
Yeah. The first, the most important one, make a distinction between resolution, New Year resolution, and habits. New Year resolution, by week 3 of January, they're all gone. Like, we see so many people in the gym week 1st of January, 2nd week of January, 3rd week, 4th week, they're all gone. Because we all tend to start like, oh, I'm going to the gym 4 times a week and that's going to happen and that's it. And wow. And we are making so hard for ourselves. Now, let me tell you a little bit how mine works. The way to build your good habits is, first and foremost, start as small as possible. And I'll tell you why. Because what is key in performing your habit, which is literally creating a new neural pathway in your brain, is about consistency of our behavior over a longer period of time, and our behavior that is rewarded. Really important. We need to create a natural dopamine effect in our brain. Now, when we do something really hard, simply it's not sustainable because we don't have the muscle developed yet. Literally, think about developing your habit like you need to develop, a new muscle. I don't know, you need to become all strong and fit. You need to do that in your head. So the new muscle is literally your ability to do something new. And the way to create a new habit, keep it as low as possible, because our natural motivation way, it goes like that. We go down, up, down. One day is great, one day is up. So we go up and down. So instead of motivating the new habit, which is what New Year resolution is, we need to facilitate and design a system around us that make it impossible not to succeed. So if you say to yourself, let's say the gym, instead of saying I'm going to go to the gym 4 times a week and I'm going to do that for all the 365 days a year, well, do you know what? I'm just going to start once a week, 15 minutes every week. You make it so small that it's so easy. When you start doing that, you will see it will just increase naturally. The expectation is low. What is fundamental, though, is the consistency. That is what creates a new habit. And most importantly, the reward. You need to reward yourself. And ideally, when you're creating the new habit, stack it with something that you already do that you like it. It's called habit stacking. It's one of the technique that we use in habit building. So I don't know, you love going out with your friends. So every time I go out with my friends, well, before doing that, I go 15 minutes to the gym. So your mind start connecting something which is hard to do with a pleasure sensation, with a reward sensation. Reward is fundamental for habit building. So giving yourself a small reward, it could be a star in a chart. I mean, it doesn't need to be like a huge reward, but just appreciate your effort is what is going to keep us going. Does that help?
Absolutely. And I'm thinking, from a breaking habit perspective, because sometimes it's stopping doing things, like the bad habits that we have. That's a resolution. It might be I'm going to stop eating the snacks in the cupboard, and it might be I'm not going to I'm only going to buy one packet of crisps in the supermarket this week when I do my weekly shopping, instead of buying the 6-pack of crisps when I do my weekly shopping, or chips, whatever you want to call them, right? So it's like, I'm not going to buy the wine. I'll buy one bottle on a Saturday instead of buying a bottle every day. I don't drink wine even at home at all. I used to, but that's a habit that I stopped, and that was how I stopped it. It's like, I'm just not going to buy it when I go to the supermarket, and then if I don't buy it when I go to the supermarket, we don't drink it. And that really helped with habit formation. And I think when it comes to habits, and I mean, it's habits around energy, but that then feeds into the whole experience that you create for clients. Because if your energy is high, when you sit down to create content, when you sit down to have a client conversation, your vibrations are freaking amazing if your energy is high. And that energy gets high when you develop the right habits to be able to be aligned and balanced across those 4 areas, right? So it's all connected.
It's all connected, and it's just more you take care of yourself, more you're building the energy capacity, and more you communicate this to your clients, and more your client come to you. This is fundamental. I mean, we attract clients just by the energy that we produce. If we are tired, headache, no presence, how do you give them free service? They're going to play away.
Yeah.
So it's so important, isn't it?
It's so important. I talk about this in my programs as well. I talk about conviction, and that conviction is showing up with a particular energy and mindset. And where I'm coming from with that is, if you sit at your desk and think, oh, I have to create content, that's the type of that comes out of you, right? People will think, sorry if that's making anybody gag, but like, the idea being that you have to step into who you want to be seen as, and how you want people to experience what you share in the world and who you are, and step into whatever energy that you need to tap into to be able to create stuff that projects that, if you like. And so one of my simple hacks for doing this is, I'm dying to go to Mexico. Like, I'm dying to go to Mexico. I love Mexican food. My favorite cuisine. People know this about me. I'm like, how do people know this about me? I must have talked about it before. But what I literally say to myself, and I mean, I've been looking at Mexican holidays. I haven't booked one yet, but it's on the cards, right?
It's coming.
And my husband doesn't like to fly long distances. The furthest I've been able to get him to go on a plane is to Crete. But the moral of the story is, I say to myself, oh my gosh, I have literally just booked a holiday to Mexico. I'm so excited. And when I say that to myself, I literally get butterflies in my stomach. I'm that excited and buzzed about it.
Yeah.
And then I sit at my desk and I'm like, I can create really great content in this energy. So it's like, it's finding a way to step into an energy. So and why this came up for me before was that, I was kind of feeling like I was slogging it a bit. And I'm like, I feel like what I'm putting out into the world that's coming across. So I was like, the times where I feel so super energized are when I'm outdoors and with my horse. And I'm like, how can I bring that feeling to my desk? And that's my hack. So each of us should have something that makes us go, oh my God, that's so exciting, or that helps us imagine or step into a particular energy. So I think, whether it's with a client who's difficult, or whether it's with a team member where you need to have a candid conversation, or whatever situation it might be, creating content is an example, finding something to tap into, to borrow from, to leverage can be really powerful.
That's amazing. That's what we call in NLP anchoring, which is a technique that we use in NLP. So you need to visualize yourself being in the state that you want to be, in the high energetic state. And usually it's a visualization exercise. It's an image. And the reason for that is that our brain processes visual 60,000 times faster than text. So it could be just a visual that is inspiring for you. Could be for you, could be the horse. For me, it's the sea. For someone else, could be a mountain. Just do a big print in front of you and anchor yourself to that moment of high state where you actually deeply connected with yourself. You feel the energy and see what come out of it. And you will see how the service that you provide to your client, but yourself, you would be much happier because that is the person that you're training your mind to be in the specific moment.
So powerful, Marivanna. Marivanna, we better wrap up because I know I could talk to you all day and we could move on and talk about probably 10 other topics, but I wanted that to you or to listeners. So before we wrap up, is there anything you wanted to circle back to on what we have talked about today?
I think just one thing. For me, it's one key concept. Business is first and foremost about people. So as much as business owner, we all have system and cross-system strategy and data and all of that, which are essential. Let's not forget that businesses, they are made for people by people. And more we connect to the human element, more we can expound the way that our business works, our growth, whatever that means for you. If it's more money or more time, we all define our own growth. Business is first and foremost about people. For me, it's this one.
Yeah. And I think for 2025, that's going to be so true in so many ways because my predictions for 2025, I haven't shared them anywhere at the time of recording this yet, but it is very much around personal brands. It's very much around customer experience. It's around that authenticity. It's around connection and conversations because that's what people value. So those are, you heard it here first, folks, on the 20th, 19th, remember what day were the 19th we were recording. And those are three of my predictions for 2025. And Marivanna, you've touched on all of them beautifully. Thank you so much for joining us.
My God. It's been a pleasure as always, Deirdre. Absolutely a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
And that's a wrap on another episode of the Master Your Business podcast. I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Marivanna Chessa about the power of client co-creation, about habits, about building a business that really does light you up. If you've gotten any value from listening to this episode, make sure to join our amazing community of entrepreneurs at www.deirdremartin.ie, where we've got a ton of resources and support to help you on your journey to your first 100K or your first million. As always, thanks for listening. Be sure to connect with Marivanna on LinkedIn. You can find her profile in the show notes. And remember, until next time, keep mastering your business.